Well, good morning to you, good morning. Tuesday, 25th of April 2023. What can we say about today? Well, we can say that the quince tree is beautiful. We can say that I really ought to cut the grass. We could say that it's the feast day of Saint Mark. You know, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, bless this bed that I sleep on. But there's something in my mind. I'm sure there's something I'm supposed to be doing this morning. Do you ever tie knots in your hankies to remind you to do something? Yeah, I can't remember where I put my hanky. Oh well, it'll probably come to me later. Look at that, 2 horse chestnut trees growing vigorously. I'm growing those so that the undertaker can fell them and cut boards to make my coffin for when I eventually shuffle off this mortal coil. Yeah, they should be big enough by then. Yeah, I do need to get some stuff done out here, don't I? Tomato plants getting covered with the grass that's growing alongside them, and the peas need weeding. Lots to do, lots to do. Well, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be. There's something I've got to do this morning, but I've just dug these out and I was umming and ahhing. Do I throw them away or what do I do with them? I suppose I could clean them, couldn't I? That would be good. And I thought, before I throw them away or clean them, I probably should plug them in and plug them to something that makes a joyful noise and see if they actually work. Well, whatever it is I'm supposed to be doing today, I do know that I've got to go and get some milk. Can't drink tea without milk. So we'll drive down to the shops at Bizet-sur-Creuse. Heavy traffic this morning. I'm guessing that a lot of you aren't familiar with the type of vehicle in front of me. It's a Citroën C15D van. Very light little van. Good load lugger. Very frugal on diesel. I doubt if you see very many of them in Tennessee or Iowa. Shame, really. And there's one for all you car nuts. Not actually quite sure what that is. I think it's an Axiom. I think. And here we run into the sort of traffic problem that used to here. It's not really a problem. You know, he won't be going that far along the road. It's not as if I'm going to have to follow him all the way to Azay-le-Ferron. Not quite sure what he's got on the back there. Is it a disc harrow? Now there's something I've got to stop for here in Martizay. So we'll find somewhere to abandon the motor car. Yes, this is pretty here, isn't it? This is the, if you like, Place de l'Église in front of the church in Martizay. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop into this little shop because I remembered Fil de Brenne. Yeah, little shop where they do alterations to things. Now while I'm here, what's that old phrase? Every time I pass a church, I stop and pay a visit, so that when they carry me in, the Lord won't say, "Who is it?" Now, I can't remember to whom this church is dedicated. Yes, okay, it's dedicated to God, it's dedicated to Christ. But I'm sure it's also dedicated to a particular saint, and I can't remember which one. So, look at that. Also dedicated to St. Stephen. I should have known that, shouldn't I? Yesterday we were in Polnay and we went in a church dedicated to St. Stephen, and here we are in another church dedicated to St. Stephen. There's even a little bit of information here that tells us that his name is derived from the Greek Stephanos, meaning crown. Anyway, let's have a little look at this church. As before, right inside the door, a baptismal font, which reminds us that we enter the church through baptism. Stations of the Cross. You're invited to look at each station and to contemplate Christ's walk to the cross. Statue of the Virgin Mary, of course, this is a Catholic church. And a pulpit, no longer used, apart from as a rather large and grand flower pot. And pews, of course. And another statue. You'll get the hang of these churches given time. This statue is very much a local thing. Sainte Etienne, she is the patron saint of Bury. Is it Bury or the Bren? Anyway, she is the local patron saint. And she's normally depicted with a sheep or a lamb or something like that, because she was a shepherdess who was martyred. Anyway, there's Solange. And a memorial to the dear children of the parish of Martizay who died for the country. Piece of stained glass, and it's dated 1901. And we're also asked to piously remember the people of the parish who were killed in the Second World War, 1939 to 1945. Side chapels. A side chapel with a statue of St. Joseph carrying the infant Jesus. And St. Anthony. Now this is a little bit like revision. Yesterday I showed you choir stalls. Here's some that are a little different. And they're fixed, they don't flip up. Oh well, never mind. And there's something different about this altar. There's not a lot on it. Surrounded by statues, Queen of Heaven, St. Blaise, who is one of the big saints in this part of the world. Fortunately, they've put names on these, otherwise I might not know who they are. Sainte Etienne, St. Stephen. And just in case, I'm going to step back so that I can show you this a bit more clearly. Just in case we weren't sure who St. Stephen is, there's a very big prompt on the statue. St. Vincent, and another statue of Mary, and needing dusting, a statue of the risen Christ. Now, what I came round here to do was to zoom in on this statue of St. Stephen. And statues very much are about teaching, they're about reminding you not of the statue, but of the person the statue commemorates. And if we look at this picture of this statue of St. Stephen, he's got a stone banging on his head. Now, missing from this altar is the tabernacle and all that, because this church is built slightly differently, and the tabernacle in this church is in the side altar here. Very small, plain altar. With statues of angels on either side of it. And a beautiful piece of stained glass behind it. Now, I guess by now you all know, he said, try not to trip over the Priez Dieu confessional box used for storing things. Yeah, it's a little bit lopsided, isn't it? That all wants sort of bracing up. But a wonderful piece of carpentry, wonderful piece of furniture. The idea is that the priest is in there and we come in here and we kneel. And we tell the priest all of the terrible things that we've done since the last time we told a priest all of the terrible things we've done. And if we took any notice of him last time, it should be less this time than then. St. Anne and the child, Virgin Mary. And of course the Virgin Mary with the child Jesus and St. Joseph. This is another church that doesn't get used very much. Yeah, sadly. But look at that gorgeous barrel vaulted roof. And the artwork on the, I don't know quite what you'd call them. They're not beams. Are they ties? And what we might think of as a musician's gallery. Closed to the public. I suspect an insurance agent has said, don't let anyone go up there. But there we are. Church of St. Stephen. Martizay.